Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to webinar number 1 of the ESL Reading Comprehension Ready for CASAS course, preparing your students to succeed on the CASAS reading exam. My name is Josh Ike. I teach at AVA, and my co-facilitator and co-host is...
Natalie, I thought you were going to introduce me.
Well, I was going to let you introduce yourself.
I am Natalie. I teach at North Valley Occupational Center. I teach 1A and 1B, and then I teach our IET class, which combines our medical class. Foundations to Health Careers was last semester. This semester, it's personal care aid. And so I teach this class alongside our health teacher, Mrs. Galingen, and then I also teach level 2A.
Thanks. And I forgot to mention I teach level 6, but I've taught every level during my career. Since we are recording the webinar for future viewing from participants who aren't able to join us, we would like to ask that we would like to try to keep noise and interruptions at a minimum if possible. So if you have any questions during the webinar, please put them in the chat and one of us will address them as they come up, or you can raise your hand. And of course, we would like to encourage questions, but just if we can do it in that manner, that would be fantastic. Today's objectives: participants will be able to analyze the content standards on their CASAS reports to decide which topic areas to focus on with students, learn test-taking strategies that students can use to improve their CASAS scores, and model think alouds for sample CASAS questions. And we'll sort of explain all of those as we continue. So just to kind of quickly go over today's agenda, we've already done this part. We're just going to do a quick overview of the Schoology course. You've already started week 1, but there are 3 more weeks. And then you will look at your content standards on your CASAS reports. And we've heard from a few people that they couldn't get the reports. Don't worry, we've got solutions for you. Natalie's going to take you through the student test-taking guide for CASAS. You are going to have, hopefully, lots of time to practice some think alouds on sample CASAS questions that we will provide to you. Time permitting, we'll see how it goes. We'll talk about how to generate CASAS practice questions by topics with an AI bot. So you can generate your own questions so that you can have an endless amount of samples to practice with your students. And at the end, we'll talk about next steps, and we'll give you that link to that sign-in and feedback form. That is oh so important. Okay. So just to quickly go over what you're going to be doing for the next 3 weeks, we are almost at the end of week 1, and we hope that you were able to get through all of the activities with no problems, or if you haven't started yet, just a reminder, yesterday was the deadline to post in any discussion posts. This Sunday is the deadline to reply to your participants. If you have an extenuating circumstance, I would reach out to Dave if you're not able to do the activities or engage for whatever reason you have. Coming up next week, you'll be going through the CASAS test-taking strategies, but a little more important than that, you'll be able to concentrate on focused test-taking strategies for those specific types of questions that your students are struggling with, whether that be vocabulary, main idea, point of view, et cetera, et cetera. We're going to do a preview of this in today's webinar because we had originally planned to have this webinar at the end of week 2. Of course, it's a vacation day and then spring break, so we moved it back a week. So today will be a preview of what's going to happen next week. In week 3, you are going to plan and record your think aloud that you will actually be performing in your classes, hopefully, in front of your students, and then having your students participate as well. And then finally, in week 4 is when we want you to try it out. You've made your plan in week 3. You're going to take it to your class in week 4. If you have a class, if you don't have a class, don't worry. We've got contingent plans for you. You're going to do it in your class. Hopefully, if possible, record it. And then you're going to give yourself some feedback and get some feedback from your peers about how it went, what went well, how to improve.
I have a
Natalie, are there any questions? Or if you want to raise your
Yeah.
hand if you have a question?
I have a question.
Sure.
So for week 3, we're planning to record your Think Aloud. Am I doing Thinking Aloud by myself?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right.
Question, Josh. When does spring break fall in this course?
So spring break starts next Friday, March 27th, and it runs through the following week, which is the first week of April. We come back on Monday, May 9th. We don't expect anybody to do work in this course during the vacation. If you'd like to, that's fine, but it is not required. So we've planned that into the calendar. So week 3 will be starting March 9th when we come back.
Hmm.
Any other questions, Natalie?
I think that's it, unless there's any other questions from our participants.
Great. Let's keep going. So I just want to reiterate this again. We do have discussions in every week where you will be posting information and you'll be replying to your co-students, co-whatever peers. Thank you, Brain. So the initial posts for discussions, in most cases, about 99% of the time, are due by the Thursday of that week, so that we can make sure that everybody who's posted has ample opportunities to reply. If only one person in this whole group has posted by Thursday, it's going to be impossible for them to reply to anybody. Replies to those initial posts are due by the Sunday at the end of that week. And Sunday night is also the due date for all activities of that week. So we're in week 1 right now. Your last opportunity to submit anything for week 1 will be end of day Sunday. If you have posted something in a discussion but don't see a grade, it may be because you haven't replied to a colleague yet. I think we have a couple of people here who didn't reply to a colleague, so we weren't able to give you a grade yet. Although it may also be that your facilitators are very busy people, and thank you very much for your patience. Any questions before moving on from here?
Yes, I'm sorry. Still confused. Okay.
Okay.
So week 2 gonna be next week,
Mm-hmm.
and then the thing's gonna be due by
Uh,
when?
I think, Natalie, correct me if I'm wrong. We're having a soft kind of nudging deadline of the end of next week, but a hard deadline would be April 8th, which is the last day of the vacation.
Eight, eight.
So in other words, we want all the assignments for 1 week to be finished before we start the next week. So as a rule, finish everything for the previous week by Monday of the next week.
But taking into account we have a vacation week, so
Right.
the the last day technically of week 2 will be April 9th because April 1st to the 7th is our vacation week. Again, it would be lovely if we had some people finishing before the vacation. We understand you're under a lot of pressure, you're very busy, so we're giving you that whole vacation week as well for week 2. Week 3 begins March 9th. April, sorry. I got my dates wrong. April 13th? Yeah, sorry. I got my dates wrong. So April 6th. I'm looking at my calendar. March 27th through March 5th, through April 5th is vacation. We come back to school on April 6th. That will be the first day of week 3. I apologize for confusing everybody. Is that clear now?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Again, I was looking at a March calendar. I wasn't looking at an April calendar. Okay. Natalie, we good in the chat?
Yes, all of these dates are in written form in the course. That's
All right.
correct.
Thank you for that as well. Dave, are you still here?
I am.
Would you like to talk about the certificate of completion and this
Sure.
information here?
There will be 2 certificates given out. If you are going for DSTR, you will get one that doesn't have any hours on it. If you are going for SSA, you will get the traditional one that has the number of hours. We just need to make sure that that our human resources folks can work with that. If you have questions about it, let me know outside of this forum and we'll take care of you. Okay? Thanks.
Thanks, Dave. And again, just to repeat, we have hard deadlines because we need participants to respond to other participants' work. If you don't meet a deadline, it can affect your colleagues' ability to complete their work. In addition, it might jeopardize your ability to get full compensation for the course. So we're very nice people. We're very flexible people, but we also would appreciate if you can sort of try to stick to those deadlines as much as possible. Okay? All right. So this course that you're in right now is about test taking skills for reading exams. The skills that are used by students to take reading tests are different to in some respects from the skills that they need when they do reading for pleasure and or academic purposes. And we just want to really emphasize that fact that this course is for a very specific goal. If you want to read more about this, there is an article about this in 1.2 in week 1. There is a great CalPro course on teaching reading for really academic purposes, maybe pleasure too. Dave, is there one coming up soon?
Yeah, if you want to be part of the pilot, it does include driving to San Diego twice. March 27th, which is your Cesar Chavez Day, which actually works out really great if you're into it. And then there's another one, I can't remember when. Again, it gives you 14 hours. It is a pilot, so you'll be getting right out of the get-go. Fabulous, wonderful training for what you see on the screen. You will choose an area of emphasis, whether it's fluency, alphabetics, comprehension of vocabulary, and go deep with lots of practice and support from your colleagues and your facilitators. I highly recommend it. If you have more questions, email me and I'll let you know. Bye.
And I'm assuming that the course will be offered in the future as well.
Yes, this is a
Okay.
pilot. There will also be a training of trainers in the summer. If you really like it and you're into reading and want to be a lead at your school or throughout the state, I would love to encourage you to be in the training of trainers. Talk to me about that in email. Thanks, guys.
Great. And even though a lot of the skills that students use when they're taking reading exams spills over into when they're doing reading for academic purposes or pleasure, teaching those skills is a little different. So I really highly recommend that everybody here, if you get the opportunity in the future, you take reading for academic purpose class. And CalPro, I took the CalPro pilot one. It's fantastic. Okay, so it is quiz time. If you know the answer, would you please raise your hand before you answer? We'd like to know, what is the gains report? What is that?
Not me.
Jennifer.
I think that's the report I always thought was the whole report, because that's the one we look at to see if somebody has passed the level.
Judges, I'm going to Natalie on this.
I mean, does anyone want to add something to that really quick? I saw Miss
Well, we
French.
get them, we don't just get them at the end of the trimester, we get them every time they take the CASAS test. So it doesn't
Right.
only determine whether they go to the next level, it determines whether they have a gain from the previous test that they took.
Leona, did you want to add something? Leona, your
muted.
microphone's on.
I just wanted to add that it's the gains is what our WIOA person gives us after we take every CASAS testing, and I still don't know how to read it correctly. I look at all the information and I still don't understand it. It's like Greek to me. And then I also wanted to add when we add in the new listening to measure listening in addition to the reading, sometimes the listening we found out that the listening scores can offset the gains report. It can disqualify a student's gain. So at the very last minute, they ended up not taking the listening because it would take away their gain. So
that's good to know.
Nancy,
thank you. Nancy, did you want to add something quickly?
Yeah, I mean, I think to me the gains report is just like their previous CASA score and then how much they improved. So the important thing is that every student makes a gain, and especially if they have certain hours of instruction, 12 hours, recommended is 60 to 40 hours. It shows the hours of instruction. And then if they made a gain, If they made a gain, that's how we get money for our classes, besides completing levels. And then if they don't make the gain, then those students, they get that, well, we receive the individual skills profile where you see what they're low in, and then we can like teach accordingly. But we know which students are progressing through the course.
Awesome. Thank you. Luis, last word.
Yeah, I was just going to add that basically it's one time per trimester, both in listening and in reading. And it does determine in terms of whether there is a gain, but also as important would be the benchmark. If students reach certain benchmarks, that's it.
Okay. Wow, you guys know a lot more than I know. Natalie, did you want to add anything, or are we going to move on?
No.
Okay.
Perfect. Great job.
So one more question, and again, we'd ask you to raise your hand. What is the class content standard report? The content standard, not the competencies. The content standard report.
Bueller. Bueller.
All right, in the interest of time. Oh, wait, we have a person, Janet.
According to the content area report, we can get one for a whole class, or we can get one for specific students. And the content areas are vocabulary, details, main idea, and inference. And it tells us the specific ELP standard and the percentage of correct. And there's a bar graph that tells us, where they're higher and where there's lower. Is that good?
That is
Great.
perfect.
Josh, should I go ahead and just show a visual while we're talking about it?
Of the class content standard report?
Of those two reports, just because.
Oh, yeah.
Just so that people.
Please.
This is from our week 1 CASAS course, so hopefully this isn't the first time you're looking at it, but if it is, no worries, you'll be looking at it again later. So you can see that this is the gains report that we were just talking about, that everyone is used to seeing. And then this report number 3, this is what WIOA should be giving us and might not be, and that targets, like Janet said, the content area and how the students are doing by question type, by content standard. Yeah. So
Awesome.
Everybody sees that content standard performance class content standard report here. You can open up this link to see an example, and then the gains report here.
Thank you. All right. Well, since Janet answered our next question, we're going to skip this one. And we're going to do a little poll. This is a simple poll, but it's really important to us. So if you can open your chat, please. And just give me a second before you post anything. Don't post anything yet. Let me just put in here question 1. Okay, so the question is, did you receive your gains report for the last trimester? If the answer is yes, just type Y. If the answer is N, type no. But if you type no, please write your school next to the N, because Dave is going to make a note and he's going to contact your school for you. So that's really important for us. And I like how I'm seeing mostly yeses. I see a no. If the person could do it again and just put your school next to the N, just so Dave can record that.
It's okay. I gotcha.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Mm.
This is positive news. I'm seeing mostly yeses.
Josh, can I just add something to my explanation?
Sure.
People who don't know what level they need to think about, the form level is also on the content area summary.
That's very helpful. Thank you so much for saying that. Okay, I'm not seeing any more responses, so we are going to proceed to question number 2, which is similar. Did you receive your class content standard report for the last trimester? So again, Y if yes, N if no, and if you can put your school next to the N if the answer is no. And for everybody at AVA, the district is aware, because we don't have a PPTA yet. And we have people acting as, but not, I don't think we have an official one. Seeing more no's this time. Interesting. All right.
We had the other one. We had the competency one enclosed, but we had to ask for the content one. So maybe next time we'll get them both.
Hopefully, yeah, because there's a lot of helpful information, very important information on that content standard report. Okay, great. If you haven't put your answer, you could just go ahead and continue. I'm going to move on. All right, so let's take 3 minutes, and if you have a question about these reports, if you would please raise your hand before asking, we would appreciate it. Janet, did you have a question, or did you forget to lower your hand?
Forgot to lower, sorry.
Oh, that's all right. Okay, well, it looks like we don't have any questions, which is
Josh,
good news. Oh,
it's
yes,
not,
Luis.
yeah, it's not a question, it's more of a comment. I think it was, I forget who it was who sent a part of the dialogue or communication yesterday. It was the first time that teacher had understood exactly what all this meant. And I've been with the district for quite some time. And like her, I mean, I usually get the student gains and I see numbers. And when a student reaches the benchmark, I see that as a good sign. But I don't have the full picture. So it was not until I read this past week your material that I better understood what it all meant. I didn't know about the content performance area nor the competency area. And I mean, that's a pretty sad commentary, the fact that I've been here for so long. Perhaps having a structure where all teachers are taught this, and then for the new teachers that are enrolled, have a special class for them would go a long way.
Great comment. And the good news is we're going to have 60 less confused people at the end of this course. So this is exactly a reaction to what you clearly said, is that, people have been confused about this. So hopefully at the end of the course, everybody who's participating will be crystal clear on this matter. We're going to see lots and lots of increased benchmarks. And then hopefully maybe you can, share something you learned with your colleagues who didn't take the class. And when we offer this again in the future, they can jump in. But thank you, Luis. I appreciate that. Okay. So what is our goal as teachers who are giving CASAS tests to our students? As teachers, the majority of us just don't have the time to tutor test-taking strategies to each individual student according to their individual needs. I wish we did, but our time is tight. However, we can analyze our reports and focus on the general content areas that the majority of our students need to improve and teach those strategies to the whole class. And then, if there are 1, 2, 3 other students who kind of really need extra help, well, now we've got that time to focus just on those few students. So that's really our goal for you, is to be able to do that. And I've sort of followed the tips in this course. Natalie's done it as well, and we've seen big improvements in our CASAS benchmarks. So this does work. All right, so how do we do that? Good question. Natalie?
Okay, so this is it. This is the content area standard report, and you'll see there's a couple things to note here that are useful. We want to look at the form level. The CASAS tests are level A, B, C, D, and E, and you can see the corresponding NRS level. In this case, levels 3 and 4. We know that this is the CASAS goals test, but we're going to be looking at the CASAS steps test. And then you also want to take note of how many total tests there are and how many students have taken this test, because you will receive many of these reports because our students are all taking different levels tests. They're all in different placements. So you're going to want to focus on the test summaries that have the highest number of students. And then once we're looking at that, then we can see based off of the data here what question types they're successful at. In this case, we're looking and we see clearly that vocabulary is pretty successful with 90, bearing in mind how many questions were there. And you look next to vocabulary there, the data that under N, the number of questions was 30. So across 6 tests, there were 30 questions total. And so you want to weigh as well the number of questions. So given that, we can sort of deduce which areas students need the most assistance in, the ones they're performing lower in, as well as the number of questions for each of those areas. If that makes sense. For example, you might have 20% of students with correct answers for, just as an example, point of view, but there are only 2 point of view questions. So you want to make sure you're weighing both of those things, how they're performing and how many questions there are. If that
So,
makes sense.
Natalie, do you want to model using this one how your thought process would work, like how you decide what areas you'd focus on?
We could do that. It depends on if we want teachers to do that in their breakout rooms, whether or not they have their own summaries to share, because this is the one that we have. What do you think?
Okay. Well, let's pause on that for a second, and we can come back if necessary. Okay. All right. So you're going to do a breakout room activity. Let me go. You're going to analyze your class content standard report and decide which content areas to focus on with your students. So here are the instructions. Of course, once we open the breakout rooms, you're going to join your breakout room. Once you're in your breakout room, we'd like you to locate your class content standard report if you have a digital copy and have it available to share on your screen. If you don't have a report, like you didn't receive one from your school, if you go into Schoology, our course, and you scroll down to the CASAS resources, inside that folder, you will see right here a link to content area summary. Natalie, is that the correct link?
I think so.
Okay.
Let's find out.
Yeah, we're going to find out.
Yes.
Okay. And then you can use this example if you don't have your own report. Oh, this is the example we gave on screen. So yes, we don't want to model using this one. Okay. But anyway, if you don't have your own report, you can just go to, again, our Schoology course, CASAS resources, and it's the link right here, content area summary, and that'll give you a copy that you can use.
I do have my own report from earlier if you'd like me to model with my own report.
That would be awesome. Let me go through the instructions, and then yes, I would love you to do that.
Okay, great.
Okay. Now, once you're in your breakout room and you have your report ready on your computer or device, one participant should share their screen and analyze their own report out loud so the others can hear their thought process. So you're doing this for your own report. The other participants should listen and offer feedback. Feedback includes positive feedback and negative feedback. And I'll just remind you, negative feedback is not, oh, that was awful, you're terrible. No, negative feedback is where you suggest room for improvement. So it actually is really, it's positive feedback as well. If necessary, if necessary, help your colleague if they missed important information while they were analyzing their report. And then the next participant can share their report, and you will repeat steps 3 and 4. We're going to make very small groups because we don't want to spend too much time on this. So there's probably going to be like 3 people in a room. So we'll probably give you like 10 minutes to do this. Natalie, would you like to model?
Oh my gosh, I would love to. Here we go. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So right off the bat, I'm like, oh my gosh, 17 pages. That's a lot of data. So
Sorry to interrupt, Natalie. Would you
yeah,
mind zooming in just a little bit?
absolutely.
Thank you.
Let's try.
Oh, yes, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Is that good?
Everybody, thumbs up.
Better? Okay.
Yes.
So there are 17 pages in this document. That is overwhelming. What test is this? It is CASA steps listening. This is listening. This is not what I'm looking for right now. So I'm going to skip it. But all of this that we're teaching you applies to reading the listening as well, checking your listening data. So this one, okay, great. Do I want to use this as a basis for instruction? Yes or no?
No,
No, why?
only one test.
Only one student took this one. That's not useful. Thank you so much. Okay, this one, it's listening, skip it. Reading, only 2 students, skip it. Listening, 10 students, okay. Here we go. 17 students took this test, and it's level C. These are 2A students. They're already in level C. So that's something to keep in mind.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
So this report that we are looking at has a total of 17 students who took it.
Yeah.
Does this report tells us, I know it says total students, but that total students on the right is the total number of students that are scheduled in the class?
No, I think that's the same. The total
Oh,
number of tests and the total students, I don't know the difference.
and so if the class has a total students that do attend the class, let's say 30 students,
Yeah.
what is one to conclude about the remaining 13?
So I'd have to,
Thank
if I added all of these up, it would total how many students tested that day. 2 plus 1 plus 17. Does that make sense? This next one is 13. If I added up all of the students for each report generated, that's how many students tested.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. So this one I can see this one has 16. So the majority of my students took a level C and a level D test, and they're level 2A. So no wonder they're struggling because this is very hard. Oh wait, that was listening. But anyway, okay. La 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 la. Let's go back. Let's use this one. 17 students, level C. Okay.
God,
So
you
I
just
see.
cheered us up. I didn't even know that listening was separated on the content thing because we never got that report before. You just made my weekend.
Yay! How awesome. Yeah, useful, very useful data here. And I can see that the majority of my questions are details. And that is my students performed in that area best, but it's still probably worthwhile for me to focus on because it's just so many more detailed questions than other types of questions. And then it's quite obvious that they're really struggling with vocabulary. It's the lowest performing and it's the second highest number of questions. So I'd probably want to focus on vocabulary primarily, but then also detail and some main idea and some inference. That's what I would glean from this data.
Great. And I would just repeat that you really want to make sure you look at the number of questions because that's going to be a major factor in your decision, right? So, let's just imagine for a second, you can see 20 students got 26% of the vocabulary questions right, which is not fantastic. But let's imagine there were only 5 vocabulary questions, but there were 100 details questions. Do you want to spend the majority of your time focusing on a category on which there are not a lot of questions on the test? Or do you want to really put your focus where the most bang for your buck is? So you kind of have to combine those two factors. What percentage did did students get correct, and how many questions are there in those categories, and kind of put those factors together when you're sort of making a decision on where to focus. And you don't have to focus on one area. You can focus on as many areas as you think are applicable. And I would also add, we saw, Natalie, that you had one test, 17 students took it, and another test you had 13 students. What I like to do sometimes is I like to look at the result of both of those. And if I can sort of correlate patterns, oh, my students didn't do fantastic on details on this test, and they didn't do fantastic on details on the other test, that's where I'm going to spend my time, because that way I can cover everybody in class, because everybody needs to kind of get that up a little bit as too. And then after that, I can go to the other areas and, kind of target, shoot, as we say. Who's we? I don't know. Luis.
Yeah, okay. I see the four categories: vocabulary, inference, details, and I understand in terms of the results, the answers being correct. But my question is the following: where do we get the information as to the number of questions per category? You just stated that basically on details there are more questions than vocabulary, but how many more? I mean, I don't have that information as an instructor.
You can do the simple math. This 273 questions for details divided by 13 students, and that's how many were on this test.
Well, where'd you get the number 273?
It's right here under N.
I'm sorry, I don't see where.
Josh,
I got you. Can you see what I circled, Luis?
No, I just see it's level C, 626
So down here.
Does anybody see is my annotation working?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Then it's only me. I mean, I don't see the number.
So, okay, there's four columns: English language proficiency standards, reading content areas. The next column is ELP standard. The next column is N. N stands for number.
All right, I'll tell you what, Luis, we can work with you during the breakout room. Okay.
That's good. Thank you.
Is that normal to have only 13 people take the test? Isn't that too few to get an accurate sample, unless that's all the class has?
They're all taking different levels because they're all testing through them at different paces. So you do kind of have to take a step back and try and look at the data holistically, keeping that in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now I do see it. I was zooming in so I could see it better, but now I have the whole entire page. Thank you.
Okay, good. All right, are there any questions before we put you into breakout rooms? Natalie, if you could, you did stop.
Also, excuse me, the 273 questions on details. I think they're just correlating, saying, this is really a detailed question too. Am I right about that? Did they really have?
Don't overthink it. Just go for the raw numbers. Don't think too much about it. Saying, this is the skill, this is the report that has the most students. This is the question or skill area that has the most questions, and it's the lowest, or maybe the second to lowest.
Okay.
Ed?
Yeah, hi. Can you go over again on how to access the one if I don't have access to my own report right now? The Schoology.
Yes,
the Schoology steps.
Yes,
Thank you.
Definitely. Okay.
Let's put the link in the chat to that one.
Yes, let me get it.
See who can get it first.
You're probably going to win because I closed it.
Bam.
You got it?
Yeah.
It's in the chat. Ed, do you see it in the chat? Oh, Natalie, you can pause the recording. Thanks.
Oh, am I recording?
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a record button.
Got it. Yeah, I see.
You go ahead. Go ahead. Ooh, and I'm going to turn off everybody's mic. Sorry, everybody. Okay. Thank you, everybody. I know, of course, it would have been nice to have more time. But I heard some really, really good observations, some fantastic feedback, and it seems like most people are grasp the concept. I would just like to repeat again, there's no correct answer to this. There's only what works best for you and your class. I do want to open it up for questions or comments just for a little bit because we've got a lot more to do. I would like to actually pick a victim if possible to start because Delia had a really, really good and important question that I think we should all talk about. Delia, do you want to share what you had talked about?
Sure. When students take their first CASAS test at each school, they are given a locator test. That locator test, they are told, but very in a gentle, very passive way, please select I don't know if you don't know the answer. A lot of times, students select the answer and they could have a correct answer. With that in mind, they have a level 6 test. And they tell me, teacher, this vocabulary is so difficult. So what do we do in that situation? They're stuck with that test forever. And they go back and forth with this test. And each teacher, they tell each teacher every semester, oh, yes, I told my previous teacher that it was difficult and I don't understand why. I know why, and I told them why. But what do we do with those students that have a level 6 test? And I teach level 3B. So yes, I can use this in some way, but not in all ways, because I can't teach level 6 in a 3B. So please elaborate. How do we, what do we do?
So Natalie, if it's okay, I'd like to give the room a minute to respond. And if you'd like to respond, please raise your hand before you speak. Janet, I know you have a comment. I'll get to yours in just a second. Would anybody like to respond? Because I'm no expert in this area. Natalie's an expert, but we'd like to hear from other people too. Dave.
I'll be the backup. Let's see if anyone else has a question or answers. I'll answer if other people don't have an answer.
Okay.
But I do want to add, yes, we have Burlington English and we have other levels available, so we can suggest that. Yes, we can give them materials, but that entails, so when you have a class 40 students, let's say 35, when do you find the time to have this tailored approach where you say, oh, so you're going to be doing this, you're going to do this, and I'm going to concentrate on this. So I know we have resources if we want to move in that direction of just a tailored approach, but I don't think we have the time for that, right?
Okay.
In terms of a large class size.
In the interest of time, Dave, go ahead and respond.
Okay. One, if you are able to manage your time that you can tailor to every single student, great, but that's not what we're recommending. We're looking for the class trend. We're saying, where are most of your students? Where's the big bang for the buck skill activity? Because that's the most questions with probably the lowest or second lowest ability level, right? That's the message here. You're talking about you've got one student out of X number who is really, really high and out of their thing. I would say take the pressure off both of you and them. And if you can offer some Burlington, great. But you can say, you know what? Applaud, recognize you're reading really well. If you can maybe get 2 questions more on the next test, whatever you can do with what I'm offering you or your reading in the free time, great. Otherwise, take a breath. You're way above level. Relax. You're doing great.
Okay, Natalie, and then I want to get to Janet's comment in a moment. Go ahead, Natalie. Last word on this topic.
Yeah, what I would say is the way that we want to present the test taking strategies are going to apply to all levels. And so you'll be teaching 2, 3B, but the way that you're presenting how to think about these questions will also apply to level 6, and it will also help out their next teacher that you're already using these strategies and already teaching them that sort of how to think about the test taking, if that makes sense. It's going to apply to their next level, and they're going to be more likely to succeed with their next teacher.
Exactly. We're going to get into that in just a second. All right, Janet, go ahead, and then I do need to move on.
This is not a comment, but rather a question.
Mm-hmm.
We had I couldn't pull up my ESL CASA steps reading, and so we pulled up the sample one from the resources, and it was 925. And I believe, is that ABE? 925? Or is that's
The
not
the approaches apply even if it's goals or even if it's listening. The same thing. You're going to have a bar chart related that tells the skills with how
yes.
how many students. So don't worry about that.
Well, we just wanted to know, so we thought we would ask.
I don't know those numbers, and I don't know if Josh or
Yeah,
Natalie do.
I don't know those numbers. I'm sorry.
I think goals is the previous version of CASAS. Goals, and this is
Goals
now
is
step.
for ABE and academic.
Okay.
Never mind.
There you go. So it probably was. All right. All right. We're going to move on. Natalie and I have rehearsed a little skit for you.
No,
I'm
we're
kidding. I'm kidding, Natalie. All right. You ready, Natalie?
Okay.
The CASAS test is hard and my students are under a lot of pressure. How do I teach my students to improve their scores?
Would you please stop throwing things and flipping over tables? You just calm down. It's easy. You just got to teach them some basic test taking strategies, okay?
So Natalie is going to take over at this point. Oh, and I just want to say before, Natalie, you get into this, I just want to remind everybody, this is a preview of what you're going to be doing all next week. So it's going to be a lot of information. If you don't get the whole thing today in this webinar, fear not. You're going to have, well, literally, you're going to have 2 weeks to sit with this and really kind of, let it kind of develop in your brains. And by the 3rd week, you're all going to be professionals. All right, take it away now.
Okay, so this is a guide that Josh and I developed. I'm going to show you the Google Doc. It is in the Schoology course, but we can provide the link to this document if you guys would like. There are, I'm just going to show you really quick, 7 steps. And I give this to students. I give this to my students. So let's zoom in. Okay, let's take a look at step 1. So I tell my students, oh my gosh, the CASAS test, so much information. Okay, step 1, orientation. Orient yourself to the question. Teach them to skim and you teach them to ask themselves, what is it? What am I looking at? And then what is it about? So they're not even really reading yet. They're just getting an idea of what the heck is this. And before I continue explaining the next steps, particularly for lower level students, but maybe for any level, depending on your students, you might want to just stop with step 1 if you would like to, as we say, chunk and just teach step 1 for that time being until they get used to every time they see a new reading, they know to ask themselves, what is it? What is it about? And so I have all these ideas here of different types of readings. And I'm going to take you here to Burlington English. I know not everybody has Burlington English, but if you do, there's a whole lot here we can use. This is in courses. So if I go to courses and I go to exam preparation and I go to prepare for CASAS steps lessons, I'm going to open B, and then I open worksheets. I have all these different types. So I can print these or I can present them, and I'll ask my students, what is this? Just look at it. What is it? What is it about? And then the next one, show them this. What is it? What is it about? Here's another one. Let's go to
Natalie,
random.
on the next one, if you could answer the question too.
Oh, right. I mean, okay, guys, should we do it together? What is this? Let's go back to the first one. What is this, guys?
Is it a form? Is it a receipt?
It's a paragraph. It's a story or narrative.
Yeah, you might want to cover that up or keep it,
And
narrative. It's a narrative. And what is it about?
It's a story about William.
About William. What about William?
He works at a big hospital. He's a nurse.
Nurse.
And and talking about Saturday, his Saturday, what
Okay.
he's doing with his children, his day.
Before you change, Dave had a comment in the chat. So how did we know it was William? Why was William one of the first things we said?
Title.
The
Title.
title of the story.
Big letters, bold letters, titles. Thank you, Natalie. Go ahead.
Yes, great. So we know what it is. It's a narrative. It's a story. What is it about? It's about William. It's about his work, Saturday and Saturday morning. Okay, let's look at the next one. What is it?
Ads.
An ad. What is it about?
Jobs.
All
Yeah,
jobs?
different jobs.
Many jobs?
Babysitter.
Different jobs.
Yeah.
Well,
Maya
a few different. We can't see the whole thing. Can we see
Somebody,
the part?
I'm just looking at A. Just
Oh,
A.
okay.
somebody offering their services.
Somebody looking for work.
Mhm.
Okay, offering work.
And
Let's look.
Maya did say babysitter in the chat.
Oh, perfect. Let's look at C. What is it? C.
Guitar teacher.
Music lessons. Yeah.
It is an advertisement. And what is it about? I heard someone say music lessons.
Private in your own home.
Let's go to the next one. What is it?
Information.
A label.
Information. Yeah, what information?
Nutrition.
Nutritional label.
Nutrition. That's called a nutrition label. And what is it about?
Cereal.
Cereal. What container is it?
Like a box.
A box. So we already, your students already have an access point into the reading. They know what they're looking at. They have an idea of what it's about, and they haven't even read yet because they're just looking and scanning.
A lot of good visual cues.
And Natalie, can I add one more thing?
Absolutely.
So although we're doing think alouds right now, when your students are taking the test, they don't have to know the answers in English. They just have to know the answers in their mind.
Right. Right. Okay. So let's go back to the guide. You guys are doing so good. You totally grasp step 1. We're ready to add step 2. Maybe it's been a week in the class or something like that. Or maybe you want to do steps 1 and 2 together. It depends on your students, on how much they can take on. So step number 2 is read the question. And then we have this note that for advanced students, we recommend that they read all related questions to the passage and then decide what order they want to take them in and have them start with the specific questions and then answer the general questions later. On my document, I give this guide to my students, so I have that bit removed for them. Okay, but what do we want them to do when they read the question? Not just read the question. We want them to identify the question word or words. Who, what, where, when, why, which, how many, how much, how often, how long. Really basic, but really helpful, really important, and maybe not so basic for our students. And it gives them something to grasp onto with the question. What is the question word? And then also identify the other important words in the question. We have about, the main topic, means. I found out that my students didn't know what means, which is it's really important. Based off, replace, most likely, best. These are all high frequency words on the CASAS test. And I don't know if we want to do examples of this now or save that for our think aloud later, Josh.
Let's save. Let's keep going.
Okay, great. And
we're going to go through and then we'll model later.
So I have a question for you guys. Have the students started looking at the answers yet?
Not yet.
Not yet. Have they even read the passage yet?
No.
No, they have not. They have oriented themselves to the passage and they have read the question. They identified the question word and any other important words that might be in the question. Now they're going to try to find the answer, and they're not going to do that by reading every little word. They're going to be doing that by scanning. So I know the information I'm looking for. Now I'm going to scan for it. For my level 2 ACE, I would I would probably chunk this, right, and do this, introduce this to them after their, I would chunk this probably with step 2. So we're working with the questions. Now that we identified the question word and the important words in the question, now we're practicing trying to find the answer and scanning for it. And then this is really great because you ask students to answer the question in their own words before they read the multiple choice. And that really helps them because they get less tripped up by the multiple choice because they already have an idea of what the answer is. Because the multiple choice answers are all kind of convincing. They're all related. They're all in the passage somehow. So this will set them up for success because they've already, in their own words, come to some kind of answer, hopefully, of what the answer is. And then at this point, they are going to be reading the multiple choice answers and eliminating the answers that they know are wrong. Okay. And for your lower level students, you might want to just stop there with your guide. But if you have upper level students, or even if you're teaching, level 3, but they're taking level 6 tests, you probably want to continue the process here. You want them to choose the best answer, but if they cannot, they're going to scan for the answer again. If they are still unable to answer, they can skip it and come back and try to answer any skipped questions at the end. But if they don't have any idea, they should not guess. They should not guess. Okay, so that's the guide.
Natalie, why shouldn't they guess?
Yeah, I was going to ask that. Why shouldn't they guess?
Why shouldn't they guess? Well, what is the purpose of this test?
To see what they know.
Knowledge.
Yes, but don't we want them to get the highest possible score?
No, we want them to
AI is
improve
running
their
this.
reading.
To comprehend.
I know, but I tell my students you're fighting time. 5 minutes left, 10 minutes left. Try to answer everything left, just to up your score. You would not suggest that?
No, because that's not an accurate reflection of their reading.
Okay.
That's just throwing a bunch of darts at a board and hoping for points. But the points don't mean anything. It's like, whose line is it anyway? I'm just kidding. The points are important, but they're only important in that they reflect the students' reading comprehension accurately. And we don't really want to emphasize the points so much as the improvement over time. The numbers, we want to see the numbers going up, So I try to help them not stress about the numbers too much.
Ed has a question, Natalie.
Okay, great.
Hi, yeah, I just have a comment on that. I think the test itself is ran by AI. So if they guess the right answer on a difficult question, now the test is going to give them similar level questions. So that's
Right.
why I don't recommend them guessing. That's where they end up getting a level 6 test, even though they're in level 1, So
Right. That's
the main reason. It's run by AI now. Yeah, they all get different tests, even though they're in the same level.
They're getting false positives, and they're being lifted up into an area which is going to be impossible for
The
them.
only thing I would say is when we go to college and do other tests, we do test taking strategies, how to do well on a test, right? So
Right.
maybe that. Okay, go ahead.
But in a college, you're trying to pass class, right? But for us, our students are not trying to pass a class. Our students are trying to learn English and learn how to read.
When they get bad scores, they don't feel good about it, right?
Yeah. Can I make a quick statement?
Last statement,
quick.
Gary, and then we're going to move ahead.
Yeah,
we're short on
no,
time.
but
Go ahead, please.
Just to echo, you have to convince students that, especially ESL students, that tests are a learning experience, not a contest, not a pass-fail thing. And when you convince them of that, the stress level, it reduces greatly. That's all I want to say.
Right. That's a great point, Gary. And I will add to Gary's point very quickly that our students are taking this test under pressure. It doesn't necessarily reflect their actual reading ability. They might be really good readers in class, but they're having a bad day and there's noise in the classroom when they're taking the test, and maybe they're distracted, their phone keeps buzzing, and they might not do as good as they usually do. I think Gary hit the nail on the head with that comment. Okay, we're going to keep it going. Thank you, everybody. So a few key ideas that we would like you to remember. And by the way, the strategies that we provide for you, these are research-based. So this comes from research. These are effective strategies that have been shown to actually be effective. Speaking for myself, after I've started using these strategies, my benchmarks have skyrocketed. But a few key ideas to remember. The strategies are not designed to guarantee correct answers. They are designed to increase the chance of getting a correct answer. And that's an important thing. Keep in mind that you will have students who have little experience taking tests, as well as little experience applying academic reading strategies to test questions. So, number 3 goes with that. If helpful, as Natalie suggested, chunk strategies. In other words, practice step 1 only on a few different questions. When students get the idea, add step 2, and then just keep adding steps one at a time until they can do all of them from start to finish. When students practice think alouds in class, and this is something that we are going to ask you to do in your class and record, it's okay for them to make mistakes, like skipping steps or focusing on the wrong things, because we recommend using post-think aloud feedback to help students improve their test-taking strategies. That's almost as important as them doing the strategies themselves. Getting help from their peers, knowing what they did well, knowing how they can improve. When giving feedback, try to focus on what the students did well before suggesting areas for improvement. And again, we want to give what's called negative feedback, which is not focusing on what they did badly, but focusing on how to improve, which really is positive feedback. Remind students that they should focus on their progress and not only passing the level, as Gary alluded to. Oh, and that's it. Okay. I would like to keep going forward as we're running low on time. Is there an emergency question that anybody has before we move on? Okay. We're going to give you the opportunity to practice this yourself. All right, so you are going to do some practice think alouds in breakout room. Again, you're going to spend a lot of time with this during the week 2 Schoology activities. So again, don't worry if you're not at your best self today. It's okay. This is just an introduction. All right, so here are the instructions. We will provide extra CASAS sample practice questions. I'll give you access to those in a moment. After you click on the link to those practice questions, you can scroll down to the appropriate level that you'd like to model in your breakout room. So the links have questions for every level 1 through 6, so you can just choose whichever level you'd like. The breakout rooms will have a mix of teaching levels, so you can practice hearing different types of think alouds. I think that's very helpful to see, oh, that teacher is a level 6 teacher, but I'm a level 1 teacher. I really need to adjust my language level. One participant, who we'll call the sharer, should volunteer to go first. If possible, share your screen so you can point to where you are looking on the document, and you can also control the scrolling, so you can scroll up and down by yourself. And if you're not able to share your screen, another participant can share for you, and you can just tell them, can you scroll up? Can you scroll down? Can you zoom in? The sharer will go through their think aloud, and Natalie and I are going to model this for you before we ask you to do it yourself. We would like you to model as a teacher, and this is a good practice in your classroom. You should always model as a teacher, not as a student. So don't put your mind in a frame of, oh, I'm going to pretend I'm a student while I'm doing this. No, you're a teacher. Do it as a teacher, but adjust your language to how you would speak to your students in class. So you're going in with the knowledge that you have, and you're going to model it as a person who speaks English as a first language or second language or third language, depending on who you are, but speaks fluently. And again, don't worry, when you see Natalie and I model, you'll get it. The other participants should listen, and this is important, and take mental notes as to what the sharer does right and what they could improve. However, try not to interrupt the sharer as they run through their think aloud. Let them finish, then you can give them your feedback. Even if they make a huge mistake, let them keep going. When the sharer has finished, provide feedback on what the sharer did well and how they can improve next time if applicable. If they did a great job, you only have to say, great, fantastic, good job, you did everything correctly. The next person can share their screen and repeat steps 3 through 6 with a question from their level. Before we take questions from you, Natalie and I are going to model. We're going to do 2, so you can just hear how it goes, and then you can ask questions if you have any. Natalie, would you like to go first?
Oh my gosh, I would love to, and I'm not nervous at all. Here we go.
Oh, sorry, everybody. Natalie's going to do the think aloud. I'm going to listen and give her feedback. I would appreciate if you could keep your microphones off during this process just so you can hear how Natalie does her think aloud and how I give her feedback. Go ahead, Natalie.
Okay, so let's take a look at our question. Just so you guys know, I'm going to be using the Burlington English lesson material that you can find. Okay, class, let's take a look at this reading. What is step 1 for our guide? What is step 1?
Oh, sorry to interrupt, Natalie.
Yeah.
Natalie, you're modeling you're taking the test yourself.
I'm taking the test myself.
You're taking the test yourself,
and
you're thinking out loud how you're going through the steps as you answer the question. Sorry about that.
Good clarification. So I'm taking a test. Okay, great. Step 1 is that I need to orient myself to what I'm looking at. Okay, this is a narrative.
I have a question. I'm sorry.
So Gang-hye, if you could everybody, if you could do us a favor, let Natalie go through the whole thing, and then I'll give her feedback, and then we'll take questions. But we're going to let her go through the whole process before we ask her anything. Go ahead, Natalie.
Okay, great. So I'm taking a test. I'm looking at, I see a bunch of questions. First thing I need to do is I need to orient myself to what I'm looking at. I'm looking at a narrative reading, and it is about someone named William, and it looks like it's about his work when he gets home, and it's Saturday morning. I see family. Okay. And now step 2 is I'm going to read the question. So number 1, the expression lend a hand means. So I need to identify the question word in this question. There is no question word. I'm going to identify the other important words. Means. Okay. Means expression means. And the expression lend a hand. Okay. So I need to find the expression lend a hand. So step 3 is I'm going to scan. I'm going to scan for it. Okay, I see it. His children lend a hand. Greg sets the table and Kitty makes some toast. Okay, so before I look at the multiple choice, I'm going to try to figure out what that means. His children lend a hand. Okay, his children are Greg and Kitty. So Greg sets the table and Kitty makes some toast. So his children set the table, make toast. So they help with breakfast. So maybe lend a hand means helping with breakfast. Okay, let me go back. Now I can read my multiple choice answers. The expression lend a hand means help. Yeah, I think that's it, but let me keep looking. The expression lend a hand means cook. I don't think so. The expression lend a hand means come in. No. The expression lend a hand means feel hungry. So I think letter A, the expression lend a hand means help.
Okay, finished?
Yeah.
So great job. You went through all the steps in the right order. I heard you identify what you were looking at. I heard you think about what it was about. You read the question. You figured out what the important words were. You scanned to find those keywords. You kind of tried to answer the question before you looked at the multiple choice, which was great. And I think you got the right answer. The only feedback I have for you is, what level do you teach?
2A.
So when you're doing this in front of your students, I would maybe recommend slowing your speech a little.
Oh,
You said all the right things, but maybe
right.
just slow down a little. And then
Okay.
maybe another thing that might help your students, when you eliminated cook
Yeah.
and come in, which was correct, maybe you could point back to the part that you read. Greg sets the table and Kitty makes some toast, just to identify why you think it's incorrect. Not that it's a necessary
Right.
step, but it might help your students to understand why you're eliminating the
Right.
answers.
Because they didn't hear my thought process for the elimination.
Yeah, but other than that, I
Oh,
think you did a
okay.
fantastic job.
Great.
Okay,
Thank you.
Jenhee, what were you going to ask before I do my model?
So I was just want to clarify that. So Natalie is being a teacher, but she's demonstrating her thought process in front of student. That's what we are going to do.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
You
So
gonna get
she,
those steps so we can see them?
yeah, everything's coming to you in a second. So again, you're taking the test, and you are taking the test, you are answering the question, and you are thinking out loud what's going on in your brain as you take the test. You're using your own teacher language to do it, modified for whatever level you teach, but you're not like pretending you don't know the meaning of words or you've never heard words before. But the really important thing is you're going through the steps. Your students don't necessarily have to understand 100% of what you're saying, but as you point and you speak and you think, they'll understand, oh, she's doing that step now. Oh, she's doing that step now. Oh, she's doing that step now. And after a couple times, they'll get it. They'll get it. All right, I'm going to model real quick, and then we're going to put you all in the breakout rooms so you can do the same thing. Natalie, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, let me find my question I'm going to use. I'm going to do a level 5. Woo, wrong screen. Embarrassing. I'm going to do a level 5 question. Here it is. So this is for level 5. So I'm going to adjust my language and my speed, assuming that I'm standing in front of level 5 students who understand much more English than Natalie's class. And probably they can understand if I speak at a faster speed. Not too fast, but a little bit faster speed. All right, here we go. Natalie, you ready?
Ready.
Josh,
Okay.
can you enlarge
Oh,
them? Can you make the screen bigger?
Yes,
You
yes,
can
yes,
press the
yes, yes.
menu tab to eliminate the things on the side too.
Thank you. Okay. All right, here we go. Okay, question. The main purpose of this notice is to. So they want to know what the main purpose of this notice is. I think it's asking the main idea. So I should probably look at the title. North Coast Dental Center is hiring. Hiring, that means interviewing people for jobs. Okay, so maybe that's the main idea. Maybe they're hiring people. Let me just double check here. Let me look at the bold parts. Wanted dental assistants. Yeah, wanted. Yeah. Wanted. They're looking for people to work. I think that's the main idea. All right, let me read the answers. The main purpose of this notice is to describe the type of work dental assistants and hygienists are trained to do. Well, it says hiring and wanted. I don't think it's a training thing. Inform applicants that North Coast Dental Center is now hiring dental staff. That's one. But you know what? Let me just check everything, because you should always look at everything before you decide. Persuade applicants that North Coast Dental Center is a good place to work. Well, they are hiring people. I don't know. Explain what is required to get an advanced degree in dentistry. No, it's not. It's not classes. No, they want people to work. Okay, I think it's B. I want to double check here that they're not, the main idea is not to tell them they're a good place. Well, They talk about work duties and requirements, but doesn't look like they're trying to tell people this is a fantastic place. Hiring wanted. No, it's definitely B. Final answer.
Okay. Josh, that was great. You were very clear in the way that you identified the question, and then you went and looked at the reading before reading the multiple choice answers. I do think that you forgot to do step number 1, which is to orient yourself to the reading first before
You're
you
right.
even look at the question.
You're right.
Yeah,
I
but that
did
was
forget
great,
that.
Josh.
Okay. All right. So next time I'll remember to do that. Thanks, Natalie. Okay. Any questions before we put you into a breakout room? I'm going to show you where all of the instructions, everything are. But any questions about how
Well,
you're
how
going to do
would
the
you have
exercise?
orientated yourself? Can you?
Oh, had I done the first step?
Yeah.
What am I looking at?
Okay.
Looks like a flyer or some kind of notice, a sign.
And what is it about?
Well, it's about North Coast Dental Center, and it's about hiring people. And then I would go to the question. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So we have links to CASAS extra sample questions. Let me put the links in the chat, but don't worry if you don't get it in the chat. I'm going to tell you another way to get the same link in just a second. I made these using AI. So version 1, which I'm putting in the chat right now, these are a little easier. There's version 1. And then version 2, these questions are a little harder, but you can totally decide which ones you want to use when you model. You only have to model one question. You don't have to model everything. Okay, here comes version 2, in the chat. Sorry, everybody, I'm having a little technical problem here. Okay, there's version 2. Now, in addition, if you can't open the links there, you can also go to our Schoology course, and on the bottom of the course, you have a pink CASAS resources folder, which is open. If you go into that folder, right here, you have the CASAS steps sample questions. We also included the official sample questions. You might want to save those for your classroom, but again, it's up to you. You got 3 choices here. And one more thing I want to show you is on version 1. On the version 1, if you go all the way to the bottom, all the way down past the level 6 questions, I've put the instructions for the breakout room in case you don't remember what to do. And then we also have the test taking strategy guide on the bottom. So that's on version 1. Okay. Are there any questions before we put you into breakout rooms to practice think alouds?
How much time?
So it's getting late. I wish we had more time, but I think we're going to have to limit this to 15 minutes. We'll make the rooms small so that way we can guarantee everybody has a chance. Natalie, Dave, 3 people?
Let's do
2 people, 4
2
people?
or 3.
2 or 3. Okay.
Mhm.
All right, let me stop sharing. Let me pause record. Okay, welcome back, everybody. I know that there are 600,000 questions and comments, and I wish we had time to address all of them. We are a little tight on time, and Natalie and I do want to make sure that we get through everything before we run out of time. I just, from observing in the rooms, I just wanted to tell everybody, first of all, great job, everybody. But I want to let you know there is no wrong way to do this. There's no wrong way to do this. However, there are more effective ways to do it. And this is something that you'll be getting into in the second week of the Schoology course. You'll be getting deeper into the weeds. You'll see how to adjust your think alouds for specific types of questions. And you'll be able to think about, how am I going to do this in my class for my students in the 4th week? And you got plenty of time to think about that. Unfortunately, we don't have time to get into how to generate CASAS practice questions by topics with an AI bot. However, I will tell you that in, I think it's week 3, maybe? Yeah. I do have an article on using AI tools to generate CASAS sample questions. So you will be reading about that in the 3rd week. There's probably a lot of people out there in this room who are much better experts than I am, but there might be some people who have never done it before. So this is kind of a primer that'll take you through. Okay. Let's see. Oh, Natalie, we got to act again. You ready?
Fine.
These resources are great, but they're not enough. How can my students get more practice on their own?
Again, Josh, will you please stop throwing things when you get upset? Just go to readtheory.com. Seriously, like, get a grip.
Okay. So if you've never used readtheory.com before, it is fantastic. It is basically a million CASAS sample questions on one website. In the CASAS folder, CASAS resource folder, which is published, so everybody will have access right now. If you go to the bottom, I have a little instruction PDF on how to create a Read Theory student account. So that's for your students. They can create free accounts. And it also has a link to the website right there. So this is readtheory.com. And it's really great. It's basically it's just practice reading questions. It's like practice CASAS questions. And it meets the student at their level. So the level is adjusted for that student only. So one student in your class will have questions that another student in your class won't have because they'll be at different reading levels. It's fantastic. I don't want to get too deep in the weeds on it, but there are instructions on how to create an account for your students to create accounts. We would just like to, again, emphasize how we improve the idea of mastery learning. Students do not become experts, teachers as well, the first time they do something. It's about multiple chances at practicing at skills to improve those skills. You experienced that today. Maybe some of you kind of stumbled a little bit when you were going through your think alouds. That's great. You're going to have tons and tons and tons of chances to go through this again and perfect yourself as a teacher so that when you do it in front of your students, you're going to be ready to go and your students are going to understand everything you're doing. And that's what we want to do with our students. We want to give our students the same opportunity to try and try and try before perfecting skills. Okay. Natalie, do you want to do a quick overview of week 2, or do you want me to?
Why don't you share the screen and we can look at it together?
Okay. This is not published right now, everybody, but it will be published Sunday. When do we publish things, Dave?
I like to do it on Friday afternoon so that people
okay.
want to get ahead of the game. If they're finished week 1, then they can use the weekend to get ahead.
Great. So we'll publish it right after the webinar. Okay. Okay, Natalie.
Yeah. So the first item you'll see is the week 2 overview. That's just going to explain textually and in a video featuring Josh what's in week 2 to orient you to what's going on. And you can see that the focus is going to be those focused test taking strategies. Important dates are there in the overview. And yeah, do you want to go back to the...
Oh, whoops. Sorry. My bad.
Okay. No worries. So 2.1 is the guide that you looked at today. It is also there. Have at it. Enjoy. It is there. And then 2.2 is going to guide you for, again, how to use your report, your content standards performance report in order to identify those areas. But you already have a good idea of how to do that from week 1 and from attending this webinar. And then you will choose 2 areas that you would like to focus on. There's vocabulary, details, main idea, inference, and point of view, and then supporting evidence. You will choose 2. If you want to go crazy and do more, you can. But 2 is the requirement. So you're going to, for example, if you want to look at vocabulary and deep dive into strategies tailored to vocabulary questions. There is a text for you to read through about the strategies. And then there's a video, and Josh is demonstrating a think aloud using those strategies. So thank you to Josh for doing that. You can see that example in real time. And then you are going to participate in a discussion. You're going to answer one of the questions. And as with this week, the original post will be due on Thursday. And then you will need to like and respond to at least one other participant by Sunday, midnight Sunday, before week 3 starts. Does that
And
make sense?
yes, and then there's a bonus. This is just some practice activities you could do with your class to prepare them for CASAS, but it's not anything that you need to submit or anything. It's just a bonus thing if you're interested. Okay, thanks, Natalie. All right, so of course we do want to give you a link to the sign-in and feedback for today. So let me.
I put it there, Josh.
Oh, you put it in the chat. Thank you, everybody. We're crawling up to 3 o'clock. I can stay for a little time after 3 if people have questions or comments or whatever. Dave, Natalie, of course, you're invited, but you don't have to. And can we just make sure that everybody has access to the sign-in and feedback form? That there's no technical problems accessing it?
Please click on it. Someone make sure, give us a thumbs up or just say out loud. It's good. Yeah, Stella says, Jessica, thank you guys. All right, I've got to go to another meeting. Can we give applause to our amazing facilitators? And you guys, I am so excited. This is so important and so helpful to our students. And I think that we all thought it was really helpful. So keep up the great work in Schoology. See if you can keep up mostly with the deadlines. It will really help you in the long run. And have a great weekend. I got to run. See you later.
Thanks, Dave. I can keep it
Bye,
open,
Dave.
right?
Thanks.
Great. Yes, you're hosting.
I have a question.